Business aviation is rising in Southeast Asia. As you can see from this slide here, business jets based in Asia 2023 to 2024. Obviously, there's China, quite a few there. We've got India in second place. But the interesting ones to point out are the Philippines and also Vietnam with 10. And that is rising too. Singapore's an obvious one. And then if we look at the just below the chart there, we can see that 65% of private jets are actually based in North America, but we see that Asia is 6.7%, and they expect this growth in Asia to be about 7% a year. Now, of course, there are areas in Asia where there are more private jets and where the private jet infrastructure is in place, such as Singapore, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, also Bangkok. But the rising ones are going to be Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Interestingly, Laos and Cambodia have had some movement as well, but what needs to happen in these countries is infrastructure needs to be built. If you're going to be going into those countries with your private jet, you want to know there's an FBO where you can park at, where your aircraft can be serviced. You want to know if there's any maintenance and repair stations in the area. If suddenly something happens, can your airplane be repaired? The wealth in this area is growing. I mean, just to give you a stat out there, in 2000 in Singapore, there were just 400 family offices. Today, there are over 2,000 family offices in Singapore. The Southeast Asia region has always been famous for large aircraft and new aircraft. What we're seeing now is there's more people now buying the smaller aircraft, and the demographic of people buying aircraft is getting a lot younger. So a lot of people now under 35 buying aircraft, and they are open to buying pre-owned aircraft. So they're moving away from the brand new big airplane to the smaller airplane. And interestingly enough, the turboprop market has increased by 21%. So this is one to watch. Now, why do I think the turboprop market is increasing? Well, if we look at Indonesia and we look at the Philippines, where private aircraft usage is on the increase, these are countries which are made up of many, many islands. If you want to do business inside these countries or in and out to these countries and that, you're going to be visiting various islands. And so you want to be able to get in there. And this is where the turboprop can come in really handy. If you are based in the Philippines, your business is throughout the Philippines, you don't need to go and buy yourself a fancy Global Express or a G650. You can get yourself, one of these turboprops, which will allow you to go from island to island and do your business. That's why this number is at 21%. I think is going to be increasing. There's also a lot of talk about the eVTOLs, the electric vertical takeoff and landing. These, of course, are going to be very popular in these islands because they don't require infrastructure. What do I mean by that? I mean, these things can land in a field. You can, put your coconuts, your bananas, whatever, onto the eVTOL, and then it can fly back. Or you can fly people there to the different islands and land in a field without the need of a runway. This is going to be an interesting development as well for the Philippines and Indonesia. In particular, it's going to help those areas grow economically because now they can get services and goods back and forth in a lot more easier fashion and a lot lower cost. We look at the flight count throughout the region. We see a lot of flights in and out of Thailand. And then the interesting one here is the Philippines with 147% rise. What are people doing? I mean, they're buying used aircraft, they're buying new aircraft, they're also buying into fractional ownership. Some people are buying jet cards. But another option that's out there is the opportunity to lease an aircraft for maybe 6 months to a year. Now, what's the advantage of leasing an aircraft in this region where, finding an aircraft to charter is difficult and sometimes very expensive because the aircraft has to reposition, and sometimes the repositioning costs can be more than the actual flight. Leasing an aircraft for 6 months gives you the benefit of like having your own airplane because it's available 24/7. It's exclusive to you. You can go and come when you want, and you don't have to buy the airplane. Or it could be a way of testing and seeing how your business would perform with a private aircraft before you go into actually acquiring one. And that's something that I can help you with. So, email and we can get on a call to discuss this. And check out this other video we did recently about India, a live conference that I did for some Indian business people about a year ago, where I talked about the Indian market and how the Indian market is growing and how they are putting infrastructure in place to allow private aviation to grow and to help grow the economy. That's all from Fabrizio here on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.